Map update from Suryak Maps channel covering September 29th to October 4th, 2025. Let's get into it. Fierce clashes continue on the Shakhovskoye front. Ukrainian troops regained several positions east of Toretsk, attempting to sever the final supply route of the Shakhov salient near Fedorivka. Meanwhile, Russian forces advanced east of Sofiivka, countering enemy movement and holding terrain under sustained pressure. Analysis. The battlefield remains fluid, but Russian positional strength endures. Ukrainian attempts to cut supply lines risk overstretch, while Russian counterpressure will gradually reclaim initiative and attrit enemy formations. Russian forces advance on the Verbove front. Russian troops secured the western outskirts of Zelenyi High and captured multiple Ukrainian fortifications, advancing toward Verbove and Drivka. The gains strengthen control over the sector and disrupt Ukrainian defensive cohesion. Analysis. Systematic Russian advances reveal consistent tactical superiority. The capture of fortified positions will open the route toward Verbove and Drivka, further destabilizing Ukrainian defenses and expanding the operational envelope westward. Russian forces capture Zaporizhzhia and advance near Huliaipole. Russian troops fully secured Zaporizhzhia and its southern trench network after 2 days of fighting. Additional positions in the forest north of Huliaipole were taken, tightening control across the northern Donetsk sector. Analysis. The capture of Zaporizhzhia consolidates Russian dominance over the Huliaipole approach. With forested positions secured, further advances toward the Lyman axis are imminent, eroding Ukrainian depth and maneuver capability. Russian forces advance south and west of Seversk. Russian troops captured extensive trench systems south and west of Seversk, seized the Yamskoye Dolomite Mine No. 6, and took control of most of Rudnik suburb north of Seversk. These advances solidify Russian dominance across the Seversk front. Analysis. The fall of key positions around Seversk signals the collapse of Ukrainian outer defenses. With the Dolomite Mine and Rudnik secured, Seversk faces encirclement pressure and mounting attrition losses. Russian forces restore control on the Shakhovskoye front. Russian troops reinforced the Shakhov salient by regaining key positions west of Mayak and in central Toretsk, securing the main supply route and stabilizing the front line under pressure. Analysis. Restoration of logistical control ensures sustained operations in the salient. Russian forces now possess tactical initiative, while Ukrainian attempts to isolate Shakhov are effectively neutralized. Russian forces advance in Verbove and assault Poltavka. Russian troops entered the western part of Verbove and are conducting clearing operations. Simultaneously, assault units launched an offensive toward Poltavka, capturing the first houses on the settlement's outskirts. Analysis. Coordinated attacks across the Veliko-Mikhailovskaya, Huliaipole sector indicate sustained offensive pressure. Russian advances threaten to unravel Ukrainian defenses, paving the way for deeper penetration toward Poltavka and the regional rear. Intense battles continue on the Shakhovskoye front. Russian forces recaptured the southern sector of Pankivka along with its trench network, consolidating control in that area. Central Toretsk remains under Russian hold, though fighting persists in the northern part. Ukrainian attacks on Dorozhny failed, yet they retook Shakhov and nearby positions. Analysis. Control along the Shakhovskoye line remains fluid but strategically leans toward Russian advantage. Despite localized Ukrainian gains, Russian defensive depth and counterpressure ensure the salient's overall stability. Russian forces advance on the Myrnograd front. Russian troops secured positions surrounding Mykolivka and captured the second shaft area of the Kapitalna mine, along with several trench systems in the sector. These gains reinforce control over the approaches to Myrnograd. Analysis. The consolidation around Mykolivka strengthens Russian tactical posture and threatens the Ukrainian defensive arc near Myrnograd. Continued expansion will set conditions for deeper penetration toward the urban perimeter. Russian forces secure Verbove and advance toward Poltavka. Russian troops established full control over Verbove and captured multiple positions west of Kalinivsk and Novoivanivka. Forces also expanded control along the eastern outskirts of Poltavka, tightening pressure across the front. Analysis. Consolidation of Verbove marks a decisive tactical success. Russian momentum westward and toward Poltavka will disrupt Ukrainian defensive integrity and open the route for further operations along the Zaporizhzhia axis. Heavy clashes erupt in Novoselivka north of Donetsk. Russian troops entered the northern warehouse sector of Novoselivka, engaging in close combat inside the settlement. Ukrainian forces later counterattacked, pushing Russian units back toward the outskirts as fighting continues. Analysis: the struggle for Novoselivka highlights intense urban attrition. Despite temporary Ukrainian counteraction, Russian footholds persist, ensuring renewed assaults to reclaim full control of the locality. Russian forces advanced toward Vyshnev on the Veliko-Mikhailovskaya front. Russian troops continued their westward advance from Verbove, reaching the eastern outskirts of Vyshnev. The offensive consolidates recent gains and expands Russian control along the front. Analysis: momentum west of Verbove demonstrates sustained operational initiative. The approach to Vyshnev threatens Ukrainian depth positions, setting conditions for a wider breakthrough across the Veliko-Mikhailovskaya axis. Russian forces advanced south of Vovchansk railway station. Positional fighting persisted around Vovchansk, with Russian troops initiating a new advance south of the railway station along the railway line and Zalaznikna Street. Combat remains intense across the urban zone. Analysis: Russian gains near the station indicate tightening control over key logistical corridors. Sustained pressure in this sector will gradually dismantle Ukrainian defenses and enable further southern expansion through Vovchansk. Russian forces consolidate gains in northwestern Kupiansk. Russian troops strengthen their control across Zakisnikov-Kupianska, Konstitutsiai, Titova, and Dukovnyi streets up to the city's central square. Reconnaissance units advanced further, reaching the Kupianka River south of Svetivska Street, while additional assaults press west and south along Kharkivska and Studentska streets. Analysis: the consolidation in northwestern Kupiansk signals tightening encirclement. With Russian forces pushing from multiple axes, Ukrainian defenses face growing fragmentation and an imminent threat of full collapse in the city's core. Russian forces advance towards Zvinivsky Pond. Russian troops advanced northwest of Fedorivka, securing the first trench line adjacent to Zvinivsky Pond. Clearing operations continue in Vyimka and Fedorivka, where positional engagements persisted through September despite earlier capture reports. Analysis: the push towards Zvinivsky Pond consolidates Russian tactical advantage across the Zvanovskaya front. Gradual territorial control and ongoing clearance in contested zones reinforce momentum toward deeper penetration west of Fedorivka. Russian forces advance in southern Pokrovsk. Heavy fighting persists in southern Pokrovsk. Russian troops seized the car depot in Derniak district as Ukrainian forces counterattacked, regaining limited ground near the Leontoviki cemetery. Westward, Russian advances toward the railway from the T-04-06 highway face strong resistance. In the southeast, Russian forces captured Zelenivka, Lazernyi, and the Zelezno-Dorozhnik Dacha area, pushing combat into Shakhtarsky, Salnechny, and Pivdeniy districts. Analysis: Russian control of multiple southern districts marks a decisive positional gain. The advance erodes Ukrainian urban defenses, bringing Pokrovsk's southern perimeter under mounting Russian dominance. Russian forces expand control along the Vovcha River. Russian troops cleared new areas along the Vovcha River and north of Zelenyi High, while advancing into the eastern part of Ivanivka. These operations strengthen control across the Novopavlovskaya and Kamarskaya fronts. Analysis: the clearing actions consolidate Russian tactical positions along natural barriers and open routes for further western movement. Incremental territorial control indicates continued pressure and weakening Ukrainian cohesion in this sector. Last update from Suryak map. Heavy clashes and counterattacks on the Veliko-Mikhailovskaya front. Ukrainian forces launched several counterattacks north of Novoselivka and toward Yanvarsk, temporarily entering the area but failing to hold ground. From the west, they reached Novoselivka's edge and briefly retook positions near Sosnivka before being pushed back. The locality remains a gray zone with Russian forces maintaining control of the southern outskirts and advancing further. In Verbove, Ukrainian troops similarly failed to consolidate in the western sector. Analysis: Ukrainian counteractions yielded short-lived gains and exposed overstretched positions. Russian forces retained tactical dominance, steadily reasserting control and advancing despite localized disruptions. Now map updates from Geo Insights. Ukrainian troops captured a tree line near Oleksivka, Sumy Oblast, achieving a minor local gain. Advance holds no strategic weight. Terrain insignificant, depth minimal. Russian positions remain intact. Symbolic success with no operational impact. Russian forces captured Odrad and surrounding fields northwest of the village, expanding a bridgehead inside Ukrainian territory. This advance threatens to link with Russian-held zones west of the Oskil River north of Kupiansk, forming a continuous front line and tightening encirclement pressure. Russian troops advanced deep into western Kupiansk, cutting both main supply routes and threatening full encirclement of the Ukrainian garrison near the train station. Fighting intensifies in Uvaleni district and city center. Ukrainian logistics severed, command cohesion collapsing. Strategic loss of Kupiansk now imminent. Russian forces captured Seversk and Shandryholov northwest of Lyman, extending control and pressing toward Darilov and Novoselivka. Ukrainian defenses fragment under coordinated assaults. Loss of these villages undermines the entire Lyman perimeter. Continued advances westward appear inevitable. Russian forces capture Peryazin south of Seversk. Russian troops secured the settlement of Peryazin, south of Seversk, after intense clashes. The capture strengthens Russian control over the southern approaches to the city and disrupts Ukrainian defensive coordination in the area. Analysis. Control of Peryazin gives Russian forces a firm foothold for further operations toward Seversk's southern perimeter. Ukrainian defensive depth in this zone continues to erode under sustained pressure. Heavy fighting northeast of Pokrovsk. The situation northeast of Pokrovsk remains fluid, with both Russian and Ukrainian forces conducting assaults and counterattacks. Ukrainian units re-entered Novotoretsk, where close combat continues, while battles also rage in Nikhanarivka and Dorozhny. Both localities currently lie in the gray zone. Analysis. The contested control underscores a volatile front line. Despite temporary Ukrainian re-entries, Russian forces maintain operational initiative, and sustained attrition will likely force the enemy from exposed positions. Russian forces captured Novomykolaiv and Muravka southwest of Pokrovsk, tightening control along the southern axis. Ukrainian positions disintegrate under sustained pressure. Defense depth collapsing. Pokrovsk sector now exposed to further Russian penetration and envelopment. Major Russian breakthrough northeast of Huliaipole. Russian forces achieved sweeping gains northeast of Huliaipole, capturing Berezov, Stepov, Kalinivsk, and Novoivanivka. They seized half of Verbove, where combat continues, and advanced into the eastern part of Poltavka. Russian troops are also closing in on Novohrihorivka from the east. Analysis. The offensive marks a major tactical success, collapsing several Ukrainian defense lines. Russian momentum across multiple axes threatens to encircle remaining positions and extend control deep into the Huliaipole sector. Russian forces advance across multiple fronts. Russian troops continued their advance inside Stepnohirsk in Zaporizhzhia region, consolidating control over new sectors of the town. In Kharkiv region, Russian units captured the industrial zone of Vovchansk after heavy clashes, while in Donbass, forces advanced near Vyimka south of Seversk, tightening pressure on Ukrainian positions. Analysis. Coordinated progress across multiple fronts demonstrates sustained Russian operational tempo. The fall of key industrial and tactical zone signals expanding Russian initiative and continued erosion of Ukrainian defense cohesion. Russian forces advance on multiple axes across Donbass. Russian troops entered Pleshchivka and Nelipivka north of Toretsk, expanding control in the sector. West of Novoivanivka, Russian units advanced toward Uspanivka from the east, while south of Seversk, they captured Fedorivka after intense fighting. Analysis. Simultaneous advances across several fronts highlight coordinated operational progress. Russian control over new settlements reinforces momentum, tightening pressure on Ukrainian defenses and securing key approach routes. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. It's free, and it really helps support the channel so I can keep making more content for you. You can also connect with me on YouTube, Rumble, Substack, X, and Telegram. All the links comes in the end of the video. Make sure to follow so you don't miss the latest updates.